So we were talking a little earlier today, and I was telling you about the docu-series called Language of the Heart. We got Pedro here,
Oh, cool.
one of the most legendary mental health therapists.
And if the person doesn't want to change,
Well, I can. If the person doesn't want to change, Danny, I can guarantee you that the person is not going to change. I didn't know it was legendary though, but to know that if your documentary can help like one person find some wisdom, I think that you're gonna have done a great job.
And you were expressing some thoughts specifically about, tribalism thousands of years ago, and some of how it could be a trauma response. And I just thought it was fascinating. Do you think you could articulate those words once again and maybe just expand on that idea?
When humans were tribes, if you were in a tribe and somebody would come close to you and it looked different, that was a threat, and so it could mean that you and your tribe were in danger, and so the idea that now there are parents, for example, that would like prevent children to date people from other races, other cultures. I think that it's linked to that idea, the idea that like you want to survive, you want your race, you want your tribe to be safe, and like maybe it's not needed now, but it's hardwired, and it's like how that tribe was able to survive for thousands of years, and you know it's hard, but I think that like if we can be able to like look at that and say, like, thank you, you're trying to make me survive, but you know what, I don't need that. Maybe many years ago that was needed, but I don't need it anymore. Can be kind of like a compassionate way to look at that, to understand it, to have insight, and to be compassionate, and also like do your own thing, be with whoever like you want to be with.
So if it's hardwired, if it's some deep generational roots, any with all your work with aiding other people to wire their brains in different ways, do you have any action plans or strategies you could recommend when someone is hardwired in their ways? So you got the compassionate root. Do you have hope for someone to ever change their hardwiring, or?
Yeah, well, I think that like you have to want to change, and even if you want to change is difficult. So like, do I have hope? Of course I have hope, but the person has to want to change. And so I think that we all have the power to do it, and I think that change is not the only I feel like it's like a great like dialectical tension between accepting yourself on how you are and wanting to change, but I guess yeah, do I believe people can change? Of course I do. You have to want to change, and we all have the capacity to do that.
and if the person doesn't want to change,
Well, I can. If the person doesn't want to change, Danny, I can guarantee you that the person is not going to change. And so, we all have the capacity for introspection. That is like an amazing feature. Like other animals can do it, but like humans can do it with great, at a great level. And so like, if somebody chooses not to use that capacity of introspect, look inside, see what parts of their personality they wanna like stick with and what they want to change, it's like it's difficult, you know.
I appreciate your input. I got one last question for you. For anyone that finds themselves in a position where they're walking the path of their heart, but they're experiencing resistance, they're experiencing other minds attempting to tell them that they shouldn't walk that path for whatever limited reasons or views or cultural preservation-based ideas, what would you tell these individuals that are courageously walking the path of their heart and allowing for some of their roots to crumble in the process?
Yeah, you know, that's like such an important question, and I think that it's a question that needs to be like raised. And I think that I would say to that person that they are walking a middle path, you know. And I think that it's important when you walk a middle path to have like to be able to like have your own kind of like boundaries, because you know, like, you may know what makes you happy, but there are people in our lives, our family, that are always gonna be there, you know. So we can just, you know, we can stop talking to somebody, right? We can set like a really strong boundary and like stop talking to them, like have like a wall between you and that other person. But you know, like, your family is gonna still be your family, and unless it is an unhealthy relationship, you may want to have like a boundary that is not as solid as not talking at all, you know. And so it's just like know how that middle path looks like for you, like what kind of boundary you want, like learn to love the things that you can for the person, and try to understand their point of view, like where they come from, you know. Like having compassion for that other person is easier said than done, but if you want to have a relationship with your family, I think that it's important to like understand that the reason why they are standing on your way and on the way between you and the person that you want to love is out of wanting you to survive, you know. And so try to have some protect yourself, because you don't want to be hurt, right? But
Have some compassion in the process.
yeah, try to find some middle ground. And
I never actually heard of the concept of the middle path. Do you mind, like, where that concept comes from?
Yeah, the middle path comes from dialectical behavioral therapy, and it's the idea that like there are many skills for when we interact with people, but then DBT was kind of like finding that it was difficult when those other people are family. And so a lot of a new set of skills was developed just for that, the idea of the middle path, which is the idea that like when one of the options is not to like not having those people in your life, you know, like you have a son, a daughter, you cannot have him in your life. Your mother and your father are gonna be your mother and your father. You can have a very strong boundary, but the reality, you know, brothers and sisters are gonna be brothers and sisters for as long as you're alive. And so it's kind of like the idea that like for some people we still gonna have in our lives, and they may be very difficult for us, but it is important to have some form of a relationship that is you know, that you can still get what you need, you know, get your needs met, and have those people in your life even though they may be difficult to interact with.
Thanks for your time, Pedro. Any final words to the viewer?
I think that this is a very, I love the idea of what you're doing, and I think that a lot of people are struggling with it. If your documentary can help like one person find some wisdom, I think that you're gonna have done a great job.
Cheers, Pedro. Thanks a lot for your assistance
Of course, brother.
and insight.